Hello, it is me again, Becky. Thank you for stopping by. Today is a very fun video that, quite frankly, I had no idea what I was doing when I put it together. I reached out to a bunch of my fellow booktubers and asked them if they would like to be part of a collab that I couldn't give them any real details on because I wasn't even sure what I was doing, and somehow they all agreed to do this. So thank you to everybody who participated with the vaguest of information. Y'all are the MVPs, let me tell you. So what we're doing today is we're going to be doing a booktuber recommendation chain. So I asked these booktubers to give me 2 prompts of things they were looking for as far as book recommendations went. They could be genres, tropes, or like cover image designs or whatnot. And then I paired them up with another booktuber who would then give them recommendations for those. These booktubers might be familiar with what each other has read. They might not even know each other's channel exists, quite honestly. And they are not required to read these books that are recommended to them. They can if they want to. That would be a really fun follow-up video, but I didn't want to put that much pressure on them. I just wanted this to be fun. So I am going to be kicking this booktuber recommendation train off by recommending to Kristin at Kristin Craves Books 2 books. She wanted a witchy book and a book with a cat on the cover. For the witchy book, Kristin, this is a book that you've heard me talk about and I still don't think you've read it. And I really, really want you to. So once again, I will be recommending that you read A Nameless Witch by Ailey Martinez. It's not that long of a story and it's just a quirky, humorous, cozy, fantasy adventure story about a witch who has no name. She is on this mission to seek revenge against the man who killed her mentor, and on this journey to find him, she is helped by her demon duck, her sentient broom, her troll friend, and the white knight who insists on helping her despite the fact that she wants to eat him because she's a bit of a cannibal. It's just a quirky, good time. The audiobook was really well done, and I think if you like The Princess Bride, like I don't know if you like The Princess Bride, but if you like The Princess Bride, I think you would like this book because it has that same fantasy, humorous adventure quality to it. So please read this. And if you end up not liking it, just don't tell me, okay? And then for a book with a cat on the cover, this coincidentally has witchy vibes also. So you're sort of getting 2 witchy book recommendations. And that is A Dark and Secret Magic by Wallace Kinney. There's a little cat right there. There's also a crow right there. This is about Kate, who is a hedge witch, and she is perfectly fine just living her life, being a hedge witch to this local small town and minding her own business, living in her cozy little cottage in solitude. But that all gets thrown into a loop when her sisters insist it is her turn to host the Samhain festival for their family. So her sisters, who she has a strained relationship with, come back into her life, and she's trying to do the best she can to deal with her family drama while getting through this holiday. And then another wrench is thrown into her life when a boy she once had a crush on named Matthew comes back into town, and he is asking for sanctuary from her. And her being a hedge witch, she is required to offer him sanctuary. But Matthew deals in dark magic, and that is something that she and her local coven and her sisters, they don't agree with. And so she's required to give him sanctuary, but she doesn't agree with his magic. And it leads to her discovering some secrets about her mother and some secrets about Matthew as well. So this is absolutely the perfect story for you if you love Halloween, because it literally counts down the days till Halloween and it has immaculate fall vibes. There is a romance, but it's not super spicy, and it is a little bit of like a death in the maiden type trope. So those are my 2 recommendations for you, Kristin. I hope you enjoy.
Hi, my name is Kristin from Kristin Craves Books. A Nameless Witch, I remember hearing Becky talk about that one, and I feel like she knows me well. She says cozy, and I do like Princess Bride. Who doesn't love Princess Bride? And I remember you reading the other one when it came out, and I also had an arc of it. I think you had an arc of it or something, and I have it too, and of course I haven't read it yet, so I haven't read either of those. Both sound perfect for me because I love that Becky recommended me books, because she gets me. We've been doing this book club together for a while now, so those are awesome recommendations. I can't wait to read them. I already have one on my Kindle, and I'm sure I can track the other one down really easily. So I just love how much she knows me, and those are the perfect vibes for fall, which is really what I was going for when I asked for these recommendations. I'm here to recommend a book to Beck, and I was so excited to see the prompts that she was asking for because I found one perfect book that fits both. And she's looking for a book that has LGBT representation and has a fat main character and also a sapphic romance. So one book came to mind right away, and I'm always looking for an excuse to talk about this book and recommend it because it is severely underrated and underhyped, and that is Devon and Chris Plan a Wedding by Cynthia C. Higgins. I would consider it a rom-com, but it also takes on some heavier themes, which I appreciated. And the two of them sign up for this reality show competition where the premise of the show is that you are randomly paired with a stranger and you have to convince your friends and family that you are engaged, you're getting married. You go through the whole process of planning a wedding, and once you get to the altar, you say, oh, this was all a hoax, and you win money. And obviously through the process of trying on wedding dresses together, picking out venues, the flowers, cake testing, all of that, feelings start to develop, but they also have their families heavily involved because that's kind of the premise of the show. Your family and friends, they have to be there. They have to be convinced. This is all being filmed, so we get some of the behind the scenes of the reality show as well, and we just see how this fake relationship turns a bit more real as the time goes on and how they support one another. And it's really sweet. It's funny, obviously, with that show premise, and I absolutely loved it. I want more people to read it, and I hope you haven't read it yet, and if you do read it, you love it as much as I did.
I'm Beck, and I read mostly fantasy, queer and diverse books in general. Thank you so much for the recommendation. I haven't read that book. It sounds exactly up my street. I've seen the cover, but I don't think the cover lends itself to the concept you've described very well, and so I haven't picked it up based on the cover, but I definitely will now that you've described it to me. I think that was the perfect recommendation for me, so thanks so much. I've been asked to recommend a book with a cozy vibe and a book that has the frenemies to lovers trope for Monika. A book that does have cozy vibes that I did really enjoy is The Phoenix Keeper. It's cozy, and it's lots of stuff about magical animals. It's set in a sort of magical zoo where somebody cares for phoenixes, and it does have slight high stakes, but the coziness of the mythical world of animals and the sort of low scale magic is there throughout as well. I found this book quite enchanting. I think that even if you don't love fantasy, you would love this book because it is just so whimsical and magical, the world of the zoo that the main character works in. I was asked to recommend frenemies to lovers, and I can think of no better writer, I've got a stack here, no better writer that does frenemies to lovers, sort of academic rivals to lovers, people who used to be friends to lovers, than Adiba Jagadar. The most recent book is this one here, Rani Chowdhury, but Hani and Ishu and the Henna Wars are also excellent. I'll just tell you the concept of this one because it's the most recent one if you haven't read it. Basically, these are two high school girls, and they are academic rivals. They're both creating science projects. And to get through to the next stage of a science fair, they decide they're going to have to work together. But they used to be friends and now they're not. They're now rivals. Or are they, essentially? And they team up together against a common enemy. And it is a similar thing in terms of rivalry in both of these books. So you can't go wrong with any of them. But the specific recent book that I'm recommending is this one.
Hi, my name is Monika. My channel is Pardon This Book Addict. I absolutely love your hair and your glasses. They are fantastic. Those two look really good. Thank you for the recs, and I'm definitely going to be checking them out. I am recommending Diana and the book Hunt Left of Forever by Tara DeWitt. This is a marriage in crisis, marriage in trouble, and a contemporary romance. It's really also second chance because Ren and Ellis, they fell in love when they were young and they had a baby when they were young. They go on a road trip to see if they can rekindle their relationship. He never stopped loving her. She never stopped loving him. They both never truly moved on, even though they've been divorced for 5 years. They end up having to work through their issues. Basically, why did they break up? What caused them to break up? Because they had a very solid, loving relationship, even though they were teenage parents. It was a lot of fun. I absolutely loved everything about this book. I love the characters. I love the setting. I love that they go on a road trip to bring their son to college. I highly recommend you read this one if you haven't read it already.
Hello everyone, my name is Diana over at the channel Diana and the Book Hunt. Completely agree, Monica. Couldn't agree more. I actually have read this one. I definitely loved it. I gave it 5 stars. That is a very solid, amazing recommendation, Monica. So thank you for that one. I need to recommend a paranormal single parent book to Jenn over at the Book Refuge. Now, I believe she has more of these read than myself. I haven't read very many of these, so it was a difficult task for me, but I did find one that I've read and I did enjoy that I can recommend to Jenn. That one is Mantras and Minotaurs by Ashley Bennett. It's part of her Leviathan Fitness series. It's the 3rd book. The first 2 books actually focus on the children of the heroine of this book, and you can actually read it as a standalone. This one features a human woman who is in her 50s, and she has a romance with a minotaur. They meet on this app, and the 2 of them, they have a bit of a long distance relationship because they live in different states. It's quite a cute but also very spicy romance, and it's almost novella length, so it's a quick read, and I definitely did enjoy it. So I really hope that Jenn gives it a chance and also loves it as well.
Hi, I'm Jenn from the Book Refuge. Haven't read this. I don't know that in my head I quite see that as like a paranormal one, but I also don't think I've seen a like monster romance that is a single parent either. So really, I think that is so exciting. And I have been wanting to read Ashley Bennett. I believe she does some like queer monster romance too, if I'm correct on that. And the idea that this heroine is in her 50s, so it's a later in life monster romance as well. Like, there are so many positives with that, so I'm really excited, and I think that's a great recommendation, Diana. I would actually love to give that a try, and it is also encouraging that it's not super long, so since this would be the first time trying this author, it's nice not to have to commit myself to one that would be super long if I'm not sure. I'm recommending Clint at Reads Readers the following books. The first prompt was for an LGBTQ book that has trees or a body of water on the cover. So for this one, the one that immediately came to mind is Stolen Chances by Cleo Evans. This is a polyamorous MMF romance. It has a little bit of romantic suspense, and it is also a second chance, friends to lovers, polyamory in the small town. It's a single mom, and there's hurt and comfort and plenty of delightful, steamy times with a really good plot to it as well. The second prompt was much more specific, but I gotta say, with specificity comes an immediate book that came to mind for me. So it says, an LGBT romance featuring a character where something traumatic happened to them and they think they can never find love because they don't think they deserve it. Yet the other character comes in and comforts them and shows them how to love and be loved. Wow, that is very specific, and the book I have to recommend for it, I feel like covers a lot of that. It does have a gay awakening for one of the characters. One of the characters is already an out person, but it's You and Me by Tal Bauer. I mean, really, this is the only book that could come to mind for me, and this is actually double single dads. It's told from the POV of Luke, who is a widower. He was previously married to a woman who has died, and he has a son in high school, and him and his son are very disconnected from each other. And of course, I don't want to give away the whole plot of this book, but he's just really been wallowing in agony, not only because he is a widower and things were very complicated with his wife before she died, but also because he feels disconnected from his son and he does not know how to bridge that gap. And this man, when I say that he is longing to repair the relationship with his son, that is almost of equal importance as it is when he meets Landon, who is his son's best friend's dad, who is, as I said, an out man already. And Landon kind of comes alongside Luke, and they become both working for the booster club at school because their sons both play football. The longing, the pining, it's so beautiful. And though it does have internal struggle, this doesn't really have let's say, like, shame or community backlash to the couple. Let's put it that way. It's all an internal type thing working through. So there you go. Those are my 2 recommendations. Can't wait to see what you think.
Hi guys, I'm Clint from Reads Readers. Thank you, Jen. Those are perfection. 1, I've read Cleo Evans in the past, and I've been wanting to check out something else from them. And all you had to say was polyamory. Friends to lovers, small town. You said it had like a, what was it, a suspense element to it? I love me some queer suspense books. So, yes. And then you recommended me Talbauer. This has been on my want to read list for the year. This is on my 25 and 25. This is a sign. I guess I'm gonna do a vlog reading Talbauer and Cleo Evans soon, I guess. And give you guys, y'all wanna know if I like these or not? This sounds like what I'm wanting. I love good hurt comfort. Thank you, girl, just thank you. I was asked to recommend some books to, I hope I'm saying this right, Kyan at Kyan is Booked, Enemies to Lovers, and a Paranormal Romance. Well, I have 3 options for you. I have an Enemies to Lovers, a Paranormal Romance, and a Paranormal Romance that's Enemies to Lovers. And I hope you're fine with MM, because these were the first 3 that popped in my head, and I thought, why not? So for Enemies to Lovers, I would like to recommend Conventionally Yours by Annabeth Albert. This is about 2 famous rivals, one epic road trip, while they're playing a game that's similar to, like, it's like a mixture of like Yu-Gi-Oh meets like Magic the Gathering. These 2 hate each other, and they're taking a road trip to a convention to play and win. And maybe along the way, they may find out that they may not be enemies. For Paranormal Romance, outside of Green Creek, I always recommend A Fury of Bones and Gold by Haley Turner. I always say that this is very much adult Shadowhunters meets Jim Butcher. This follows Patrick Collins, who is a, like, mage for the Supernatural Operations Agency, which is what they use to keep all the magical people in the dark and things like that. So I think this is so much fun. And he kind of gets paired up and soulbound to a god pack werewolf by the name of Jono. One of my all-time favorite series. That's all you need to know is the bare minimum. And then the Paranormal Romance that's Enemies to Lovers. I would love to recommend The Misfit Mage and His Dashing Devil by M.N. Bennett. This follows an apprentice mage by the name of Wally, who doesn't always do magic right. And then there is this demon by the name of Beelzebub, who is trapped in a sphere in a library. While Wally is there working, the library kind of gets under attack, and things happen, and he accidentally releases Beelzebub, and they get tied together. And this is literally, Beelzebub hates Wally so much. Wally hates Beelzebub. But they have to learn to work together because Wally is getting blamed for the attack. Those are the 3 books that I would love to recommend to you, and I hope if you do read them, Kyan, I hope you love them.
Hi, my name is Kyan, and I'm from the channel Kyan is Booked.
First, I want to say thank you to Clint so much, because what I'm really excited about, especially for this project, is to see the different books that are wrecked. And the books that he ended up recommending to me, I haven't heard of the author and I haven't heard of the book. So I'm incredibly excited to read them. I do like reading MM, so rest assured that I will read all 3 of these recs. I'm really excited about the one where he goes to investigate ritualistic murders, and it's an urban fantasy, and it's a slow burn. And it has a werewolf shifter. I am having the opportunity to rec a cinnamon roll hero and a cover with water on the front of it to be from Mama Needs a Romance. I am recommending Always Only You by Chloe Lisi, which is the 2nd book of the Bergman Brothers series. Ren is the cinnamon hero of all cinnamon heroes. So he's a hockey player, but outside of being a hockey player, he also has like a lot of like really cool hobbies. Has always had like a massive crush on Frankie, and Frankie is a social media manager for the hockey team, and she's always kind of like really felt this like pull towards him, and they've been fighting it for a bit because like Frankie has a very like strict viewpoint on not crossing that line from like friends to like, there's no workplace romance in her future. But the problem is like she always has been like incredibly attracted to him. She's really trying to care for herself and keep up with her health appointments and things like that, and has herself completely convinced that she doesn't need a man. But everybody needs a Ren in their life because everything seems a little bit brighter, and there's not anything that he won't do for her. I think that he is honestly one of the best romantic heroes out there, and I just really like the really incredibly beautiful way that this couple comes together. And of course, we have to feature the beaches and the water over in Cali.
Hi there, I'm B of Mama Needs to Read Romance. The book she recommended is Always Only You. And I'll have to tell you, I've definitely heard of it. I've got the entire Bergman Brothers series by Chloe Lisi, which I love. You know, it's funny too, I wouldn't be able to recommend that book back to her because my book is the original cover, which doesn't have the water on it, featuring good old Ren Bergman. And our heroine, who not only has rheumatoid arthritis, but she also has autism. And being that I have family members who deal with each of those things, I found this to be an incredibly healing book. I loved the cinnamon rollness of this main character. That's my favorite kind of character, honestly. I thought this was a very solid recommendation. Thank you so much, Kyan. I have 2 recommendations for Jenn at Pages and Chaos. The first is a cozy fantasy, and that is Halfling by S.E. Wendell. Now, there are elements that are not so cozy in that there's some fighting, but it's really exciting. The vast majority of this is a gorgeous, gorgeous road trip through the woods. Oh, it's so fantastic. We have Orek. He's half orc, half human. And Sorcha, who is a human. He falls hard for her pretty much from the get-go, and she starts to develop feelings for him. He doesn't believe that he's good enough for her though, and he fights his attraction with everything he has because he just wants to be good enough for her. It's so dear, and the first half is so very sweet. The second half is insanely spicy. So do be prepared for that. It's all kinds of fun though. I adored the settings. I love the quiet way that this book unfolded. I love the way that he rescued and honored and cared for Sorcha. It's just yummy and delicious. This one, by the way, is book 1 of the Monstrous World series. The 4th book, I believe, is coming out this fall. So there's time to read and catch up on everything before the next book comes out. The other book is a book with great banter, and some of the best banter around is in Eloisa James's Hardly a Gentleman. This book was published recently. I want to say like this past spring or maybe even early summer. It's one of my favorite Eloisa Jameses of all time, and really one of my favorite historical romances. We have a woman who travels to a castle and pretends to be a housekeeper. She's never cleaned a thing in her life. We also have a gentleman who needs help with his castle. And she is a character. She's very determined. She's like a Disney character, and everyone in this ensemble cast falls in love with her. But as I mentioned, the great banter, the chemistry between these two, the things that are said, it is among the best banter I've ever read in any book, historical or contemporary. Eloisa James has a gem in this book, which is book 2 of the Accidental Bride series, and I hope that you enjoy it.
Hey friends, I'm Jenn at Pages and Chaos, and my channel is a little bit of everything because
I am a huge mood reader. The first one she described was Halfling, and she said that there was some fighting, so it may not be cozy throughout the whole book, but you know what? That's okay, because she talks about a road trip through the woods. I mean, how does that not cozy? And that Orag, who is half human, falls in love with a human and feels like he's not good enough for her. Like, I love that. I absolutely cannot wait to read this. Now, she did say it does get a little spicy. I'm okay with that. As long as it's not just something thrown in there for the sake of spice, I don't care. I'm good. The second book that she recommended was a book by Eloisa James called Hardly a Gentleman. Now, I've never read Eloisa James, so this will be fun, and this will be my first. She said it's a historical romance with taking place in Scotland with a castle. I mean, sign me up. This just sounds like the perfect romance and the perfect banter between these two. I actually thought that it sounded like a spicy Hallmark plot, so I'm excited for that. Now, I didn't like that there was like an actual human on the cover. That just isn't my vibe, but you know what? The plot sounds so fun that I'm willing to overlook that. And I'm going to run to my library now to put them on hold. Thanks so much for the recommendations, B. I have 2 books to recommend to Amanda from Amanda's Booktopia. And both of these books are enemies to lovers romanticises with beautiful covers. And I think they both deserve more hype. So I would say they're underhyped and underrated. The first book is The Kiss of Deception. This is the first book in the Remnant Chronicles, and this is an older book. It was a trilogy. I absolutely love this. And this is the cover that I read. There are a few covers out there that are just as beautiful, but this one I love. I love the mystery. I love the like eeriness of it. I think it's just perfect. And this is about Princess Leia, who is set up in an arranged marriage by her parents because they have to keep an alliance with a neighboring kingdom. And she is struggling with a lot of things. And one of the things that she's struggling is that she's not really coming into her powers of first sight. And she just doesn't want to be part of this arranged marriage. So she runs away on the day of the wedding. And now 2 people are after her. One of them is an assassin that's been hired to kill her. And the other one is this jilted prince that is going after her to find out what happened and to take her and bring her back to this kingdom. Now, there is a little bit of a twist in this book, and you just have to read it to find out. And I absolutely loved this. The next book that I have to recommend is Heartless Hunter. And again, I think that is just such a beautiful color. I love the shades of greens and the emeralds. And I just love this moth with the pretty gems on it. I mean, I just think it's beautiful. And this is definitely an enemies to lover. So this is about Rune, who is living in an empire that has just expelled all witches after a revolution. And secretly, she is not only a witch, but she is also a vigilante, the Crimson Moth, who is trying to help witches that are still around escape and go into hiding, because if they are caught, they will be killed. And of course, Gideon, a witch hunter, is trying to figure out who this Crimson Moth is, and it turns out that she's right under his nose. This is a perfect enemies to lovers, and it is a duology. Both of them are out. I absolutely love this and highly recommend this one.
Hi everyone, my name is Amanda from Amanda's Booktopia. I'm actually really excited about the Kiss of Deception recommendation because I own the whole series and I haven't read any of it yet. I have the whole box set, including the spin-off series, on my shelves, and it's been sitting there for ages and I have not picked it up. The Crimson Moth duology, I have to say, I agree with his recommendation only because I've already read the whole duology. I devoured it, absolutely loved it. They were both 5 stars for me. So it's like she knows me. So thank you, Jen. I really appreciate your recommendations. I'm recommending Jackie at First Lady Reads a historical fiction and a fantasy with sprayed edges. So for the historical fiction, I am going to be recommending The Stolen Life of Colette Marceau by Kristin Harmel. It just came out this year, back in June, and I haven't heard hardly any people talk about it yet, and I think more people need to read it and share how great it is. You're going from France to in the past tense, and then we're going to now in the US. And Colette was raised to be a jewel thief. And so, and she's now in her 90s, and she's trying to steal back these bracelets that's been gotten missing from her family for ages and bring them back to the family that originally owned them. And it's a really interesting take on World War II. I absolutely loved it. It's a favorite of the year for me, and I hope she loves it. And for the fantasy with spray edges that you could get anywhere that's not from a book box, I'm going to be recommending Arcana Academy by Elise Kova, and I just read this book and absolutely loved it. So we're following this girl named Clara who tries to infiltrate this school and find out what's going on about her sister and to find out what really happened to her. And she's trying to, at the same time, help her family. They're trying to take down the royal princes and the king. They're trying to take them down from the inside to make their world a better place to the way they want it, not the way the royalty wants it. Clara is such an amazing, strong person. It's a new favorite of the year for me. It's just like the other one. So I'm hoping that Jackie's going to love both of these books, because I know I did. They were both 5 stars for me.
Jackie over here, First Lady Reads. If this is the first time you're seeing me, hello, what's up? I sit on my floor and I talk about books pretty much majority of the time. The first one I had not heard of, but A Jewel Thief, hell yes, sign me up. And the second one, actually, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be reading really, really soon, because I'm pretty sure that's a Black Hat Book Coven selection. I don't know, but if it's not, it was already on my TBR to read, so great recommendations, and I will definitely have to be checking those out. So yeah, 2 thumbs way up. Thank you for the recs, and I will let you know what I think of them. So I'm going to be recommending some books to B from Just Be Weird. By the way, I love your name. I love it. And they are a fantasy with a mystery component and a book featuring a fun sidekick or animal companion. So the first one I have with a fantasy with a mystery is Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. This thing is a psychedelic trip and a half with aliens, okay? You have this like glob of goo that you can see through, and they are sending teams, and they send a team full of men in first, and they never come out. So finally, after all these teams go through, they send a team entirely of women, and they discover all this weird flora, fauna, maybe some Merryweather in there. You never know. It's a orb of where anything can happen. People get mutated into becoming part of the world, and people go crazy, and it's psychedelic and weird, and you're still trying to figure out at the end what's really going on, because it's only the start of the series. So it's a weird one. So if you like weird, and since your name is Just Be Weird, I think this might be right up your alley. And for my next recommendation, a kick-ass sidekick, fun sidekick animal companion, I'm going with the recent one, House of Blight by Maxim M. Martineau. This is a start of a new duology, and it features this little moth creature. So if you don't like bugs, I'm sorry. I'm not a big bug girl either, but this makes bugs kind of fun. And they have this little moth creature who helps our main character control her breathing, because she has to be able to absorb, basically heal all of this plague that is just all over the place, and it's killing people. It's the blight, and she is what they call a thread mender. And what she can do is she can see the threads of people and she can mend them. This moth is there to help her control her breathing. And so she's expending less energy when she's working. And she just becomes her little animal companion. She just sits right up here in her hairline and, you know, kind of zaps her when her heart rate goes over a certain level. And she's just really freaking adorable. She reminded me of one of those like silk moths that have the really pretty wings. Like that's kind of how she's described. I hope you enjoy these recommendations and let me know if you give them a try.
I'm B from Just Be Weird, and I'm so excited to find out what Jackie from First Lady Reads recommends me. These are so much fun. And the best part is, one I've heard of and one I haven't. Or have I? No, I don't think I have. So the first one, Annihilation, I've heard many people talk about and really loving it, but really like harping down on the fact that it is weird. And yes, my name is just Be Weird, but am I that weird? I don't know. How weird is too weird? But having heard you talk about it was just so much fun, and I think I might give it a try, yes. I do think it's on the shorter side, so I think it's gonna be a good thing to try and just figure out if it's weird enough or just too weird. And the second book I never heard anyone talk about. You said it's a new one, so I think it just might have slipped my radar, so I need to keep an eye out for it. But it sounds so good. And it's actually perfect because of something that I will recommend later. Foreshadowing. This one sounds right up my alley. I always love a good animal companion and then pair it with fantasy, and I'm like, yes, please. Especially if you have a main character who seems to be badass, helping people and doing it in a way that hurts herself, and that she's kind of taking on the woes of the world. That sounds amazing. And the way that you describe her magic, not only because of the moth, but also because of the way that she sees threads, that sounds so good. I have loved, for example, Threads That Bind by Kika Hatsupulu, and there is like a magic with threads as well. It seems very different in this one, but just to have something so original in a way of showing magic and showing what a person can do to help others, it sounds great. So I will definitely pick this one up, especially since it's a duology. I love when a series is done in 2 parts. So yes, thank you. Those were 2 amazing recommendations. One where I'm kind of like, will I like it? I don't know. And one where I definitely think it's gonna be right up my alley. She nailed it. Thank you so much, and everybody go check out her channel. I'm fortunate enough to recommend some books to April from Happily Ever April. So I went over my shelves and tried to find books with stabby characters and cute animal pets. In the end, I went with books that I've been loving recently. I have 3 recommendations here for you, because with one of the prompts, I'm kind of stretching it, but we'll get to that one. First, let's get to the stabby portion of the video. I love myself some main characters that aren't 100% trustworthy, that are not squeaky clean, but maybe a little sus, and you love them anyway, or maybe because of it. You said you wanted a little bit of romance in your recommendations as well, so I went with the Broken Blades trilogy by May Corland. The final book was just released, and I can tell you it gets intense and more than a little bloody in this one. In 5 Broken Blades, you have the royal spymaster conspire against his own king by getting a diverse group of people together, consisting of thieves, assassins, and liars. Their mission to kill the unkillable king. Lots of stabbing in this one, not only of their enemies, which are plentiful, but of each other's backs and hearts as well. This is for fans of the Lunar Chronicles, which just means it has multiple couples that you can root for, as well as a, at times, dysfunctional found family that you just have to love. Grumpy Sunshine, enemies to lovers, second chance romance, it has it all. And while this is definitely character and relationship based, it does have a bigger plot going on in the background, with themes of occupation of lands and decimation of a people by an empire, patriarchal problems, political intrigue, as well as magical objects that might turn the tide for our characters. This is fun. It has one of my favorite quirky characters of all times, and the twists and turns at the ends of the books got me every time. I hope you enjoy. With the second recommendation, I had to stretch the prompt a little bit, but I just had to recommend you The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillick. Even though this doesn't technically have an animal pet in it, it does have a very adorable gargoyle that, in my opinion, stole the show. This is an atmospheric fantasy with so many layers to the plot that kept me guessing and that constantly blew my mind. It also has a romance subplot, but I wouldn't categorize it as romantasy. In The Night and the Moth, we follow Sybil, who has for the last decade been a diviner, which is a revered but painful and isolating position to be in. She and her fellow diviners are so close to finishing off their debt and gaining their freedom and their future when one after the other diviners start going missing without a trace. With the reluctant help of a knight and her gargoyle, Sybil sets out to find her friends and uncovers a secret that not even she has seen coming. I love this one and can't wait to reread it, but if this isn't pet-friendly enough for you, I can also recommend A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping by Sango Mandana. If you've read this book by this author, then you might love this one as well, because it most definitely has the same cozy fantasy vibes. A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping has a found family made up of very quirky characters, a romance, as well as a resurrected pet rooster who has made it its mission to annoy everyone for all of eternity. In this, we follow Sarah, who at 15 cast a spell to save her great aunt. The spell worked a little too well. I mean, resurrected pet rooster. But it cost her all of her magic as well as her place in the magical society. As an outcast, she now has no way of getting the knowledge to get her magic back. At 30, she now takes care of the inn that her aunt is running and all the people who find their way there. They are interesting, to say the least. When Luke ends up on their doorstep one evening to find a place for him and her sister to finally be safe and accepted, Sarah finally has a way in to get her magic back. I love the fact that Sarah and Luke both had kids to look after that aren't their own. We have Luke's sister who is on the autism spectrum, who doesn't really understand that she needs to hide her magic from everyone. The way that this inn became a home to so many different people was just a joy to read, and I hope you enjoy.
Hey, it's April from Happily Ever April. I don't think I follow B right now, so I'm super excited just to have another booktuber to follow. The first one, 5 Broken Blades, I've seen that book everywhere, honestly. Probably the only reason that I haven't read it yet is that it's a little more fantasy forward than romance forward, but I've always been intrigued by the political aspect of that book, and I of course love a stabby character. And then the second one, I squealed. Okay, I might have squealed a little bit. A lot of my friends have been reading that and loving that, but I haven't read it yet. I do want to read it, but I've crocheted the gargoyle for someone and I'm about to crochet another one. This is a picture of him. I'm super excited to know how adorable Bartholomew is. I need to read the book. I desperately need to read the book, and I think it would make crocheting him all the more better. And then the third one is a cozy book. I am not a super cozy reader, but when you said like a reincarnated, or not reincarnated, but reanimated rooster, I lost it. And I definitely need to try that one out. I could get behind a reanimated rooster for sure. So thank you for the recommendations. I was tasked to give a recommendation to Gavin from Gavin Reads It All. Hi, Gavin. This recommendation is supposed to be enemies to lovers fantasy. So there's lots of choices out there. Probably one of my favorite tropes, of course. But I think I'm gonna go with one that is a little lesser known. It's indie and it just recently came out, so I don't think you'll have read it yet. It's called A Kingdom of Shadow and Ash by J.F. Johns. This one is gonna be on the high fantasy side of romantasy. It's definitely higher fantasy than other romantasies that I've read recently. And there are no humans. And it's kind of a generic plot, but also it's a surprising read. Right out the gate, you're either gonna really love the writing or you're really not. And I'm really curious to see if you'll like it or not. The book is generally about a spare princess who is in an arranged marriage with a enemy neighboring kingdom. This prince is said to be cruel and all she wants to do is stab him, take over his kingdom, and end a 100-year curse. But there are a lot of moving parts in this. It's multi-POV. You're gonna even get more than one relationship that you follow in here. So be prepared for just a lot. It's not gonna be your average romantasy, and it surprised me in a good way this year. It's actually one of my top reads. So hope you like it. If not, that's cool too. But enjoy.
I'm Gavin and my channel is Gavin Reads It All, and I have just seen what April has recommended me. Thank you so much, April. I have never heard of A Kingdom of Shadow and Ash. Never heard of it, but it sounds right up my street. Sounds exactly what I'm looking for. And plus it has Ash in the title, and I've currently got Ash, my cat, on my lap. He won't leave me alone. You are so beautiful, yes you are. Anyway, it sounds amazing. It genuinely sounds amazing. The fact that there are no humans, major plus. I do love a good enemies to lovers, and that's what it sounds. And also the fact that you said it was high fantasy, like more high fantasy than other romantasy books you've read. Ding, ding, ding. I feel like we've got a winner with that one. So I'm definitely so excited to check it out. Can't wait. I have also been tasked to give coffee with Cady. So hi, Cady. And I've got myself a coffee as well to celebrate you, of course. I've been tasked to recommend either a book with a one-bed trope or a book with dragons. And I actually have one book for each because I couldn't really think of one that could encapsulate both. The book that I'm going to recommend for the one-bed trope is Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. That is one of the very few one-bed trope books that I've enjoyed, and it doesn't even really feel like a trope. It feels very natural to the characters. So Before I Let Go is a second chance romance. So I don't know how you feel about those, Cady, but I do hope you enjoy stuff like that. I don't usually typically enjoy second chance romances, but this one actually got me hook, line and sinker. So Before I Let Go does follow Yasmin and Josiah. They had been married for a long time, but it just wasn't exactly the right time, and they do go through so much in their lives. It can be a little bit more of a heavier romance, but one that really makes the characters feel so raw and believable. And I am very hard to please when it comes to romances, but this one genuinely is one of those ones where I felt so much of myself in it. And also, yeah, there might be a couple of tropes in there, including the one bed trope, but it always felt natural. It never felt like it was forcing the characters together. It always felt so natural and needed and necessary for the characters to progress and improve. So I think you would enjoy that, hopefully, fingers crossed. Hopefully you haven't read it yet. And then the next one is the book featuring dragons, and oh yes, Ash has moved. Okay, great, which means I can grab the book. And that is The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill. I don't know if you've read this one yet. Hopefully you haven't. Cady, I feel like you are a dragon expert, so it's probably hard to recommend something to you that you've not heard of. So I do think you've most likely heard of this. And if you've read it, I hope you enjoyed it. But yeah, this one does feature a cute little dragon, and it also follows Zan. Zan is a witch who rescues children who are discarded. Usually she feeds babies Starlight, but one day she accidentally feeds this baby Moonlight. And we end up seeing the consequences of that as that baby grows up, and that baby grows up to be Luna, and she's a fantastic character to follow as well. This is middle grade, so if you haven't yet checked this out, I hope you love it. It is so good. It's one of those middle grades that really do stand out. Yes and yes and yes after reading. This is a middle grade that I think anyone of any age should read. So hopefully those recommendations are good. I'm so bad at recommending things. Oh my god.
Hey everyone, my name is Cady from Coffee with Cady. I do book videos. I mostly read fantasy and romantasy, and then sometimes some contemporary romances, sci-fi. I also enjoy random stuff, you know? I'm usually not necessarily a fan of second chance romances either, but like you were saying, if it's done well, I can get behind it. I love healing. I love things that focus on that. I love things that are raw, like you mentioned, and real. So I'm very curious to give this a shot at some point. The Girl That Drank the Moon, I'm glad you recommended that, because that's actually one I had wanted to read and I put on my TBR years ago and ended up never picking it up. I might have even unhauled it just because it had been so long, but now I will definitely read it. I had no idea there was a dragon in that, to be honest. I knew that she was raised by a witch or something, which is why I wanted to read it in the first place. I think that was also kind of before I really got into middle grade. So thank you so much. This is going to spur me on to read A Girl Who Drank the Moon. Thank you, Gavin. That was super nice. I'll be recommending Rainy from Rainy Blue Reads, some slow burn romantasy dark romance books, and also some dark romance romantasy He Falls First books. So Rainy, you wanted some books that are actually slow burn, and so these are my recommendations for you. The first one is The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy by Brigitte Knightley. This is a really fun romantasy. Oren and Osric. And Oren is a healer. So in this world, there's magical like sectors you can be a part of, and she's a part of the healers sector, and he's a part of the assassins sector. And so they're mortal enemies. They hate each other. They hate each other's sectors. Their morals don't align, like all of that good stuff. But Osric has an incurable disease, and he's desperate for anybody to give him some help and to heal him, give him some hope that he's not just destined to die. So he seeks out and blackmails Oren to try to heal him, and the antics go from there. This was a 5-star read for me. One that is romantasy, but it's also kind of cozy fantasy, but I loved this book, is Welcome to Fae Cafe by Jennifer Crope. This is a fantastic book. It's got coffee vibes, cozy vibes, but also assassination vibes. Following the two main characters, Kate and Cress. And essentially, she accidentally breaks some fairy law. She's in the human world, human realm, modern day America, in a coffee shop. She's trying to open her own coffee shop, and she accidentally breaks fairy law, and the prince and his band of assassins are sent to kill her. It's adventurous, it's dangerous, it's hilarious. I fell in love with this book. It also had me laughing really hard. Really, really loved this. So would definitely recommend you check it out. And then for the He Falls First recommendations, I would go with Lights Out by Vanessa Allen. This is a dark romance following a guy who's like a mask talk sensation, and one of his fans comments on his videos and he decides to kind of feel things out because he's developing like a crush for her. And it's red flaggy. It's also very cute and funny and suspenseful. There's some dangerous elements. It's a dark romance. This is one of my first delves into dark romance, but I really, really liked this one. So if you haven't read it, give it a shot. I don't know if you've read this before, but Rhapsodic by Laura Thalassa is also a really good one for He Falls First. This is more of a dark romantasy. Main female character as a child makes a deal with the bargainer, who's like the devil, the god of death kind of a thing. And she has this bracelet that has a ton of pearls on it, and each one is a debt that she owes to him. And he's the kind of person you don't want to have any debts to. I loved this trilogy, so I would recommend you check this out.
Hi friends, my name's Rainy. My channel is Rainy Blue Reads, and I read a lot of different books, but primarily romantasy. That is my genre. I have the Illumicrate Special Edition, and I have not read this. I will read this at one point, so I am actually excited to hear that. As soon as she said cozy fantasy, she kind of lost me, because I don't do cozy fantasies. Although that sounded cute. And she said it had a sprinkle of assassination in it. I've literally never heard of this book before. I wouldn't be opposed to trying it. So I have read Lights Out. I gave it a 4. My problem with it was that he was too fluffy. Like, it was like he was a bad boy, and then the second he like gets her, he just turns into like this sap of like a cinnamon roll, and it's just like calling her like mommy and daddy and the dog and the whole, and I was just like, this is not very dark, sir. This is not very bad boyness. But I still did like it. So I've never read Rhapsodic. I have read Bewitched by Laura Thalassa, and I absolutely loved it, and I've been meaning to get to this, so this is just encouraging me to pick it up faster. Okay, now I have some recommendations for Jess from Honest Fiction, and she is looking for some forced proximity and dark romantasies, and I have got you there. Okay, so the book that I have for you for forced proximity is The Goddess of by Randy Garner, which I will just say this cover alone is beautiful to me. This is about Naya, and she is the daughter of the High Sea Goddess, and she's born as an embarrassment because she has no title, she has no power, she's the goddess of nothing. She doesn't know what she's the goddess of. But she has a curse that was placed centuries ago on her mother. So in order to break it, she has to form a union with a god from another family, basically an arranged marriage of sorts, but she doesn't want to do that. She turns to the high god of death and curse, basically asking for help to get her out of this arranged marriage somehow. He says, of course I'll do it, but under one condition: you have to go under a different curse of my choosing. And so she agrees and ends up having to leave her land and go into the mortal land. And then she ends up in this man named Ronan's home, this 28-year-old mortal, and her and his fates intertwine as she's continuing to try to escape from her evil mother. I just really hope you have a fantastic time with this book. Then let's move to a dark romantasy, one that I recently just read and absolutely loved, and that would be In the Veins of the Drowning by Kaylee Cassidy. I loved this. It's a siren's romantasy, okay? So we have our girl Nell, and she is openly hiding as a siren because sirens are like monsters. She's engaged to like the king or the prince, and he doesn't know that she's a siren, right? But then a neighboring king comes to visit right before her marriage, and she can't hide. She begs for his help to escape. She wants to be able to live her life truly. She doesn't want to be hidden anymore. He takes her. He can actually use her to save both of their kingdoms, but it's dangerous for them to be together because she's a siren. She could literally lure him to his death. Stuff hits the fan. And it's how far will they go to the end for each other ultimately. It's just so good. And then my last book that I have for you that has both of these, that is my current best book of the year, is In the Shadows by L.B. August. This is about our main girl Lilith, and she is a shadow mommy, okay? A shadow mommy. And in the very beginning of the book, she's like 16, she's with her love of her life, and she ends up getting murdered right in front of him by the vicious King Orin. I say murdered because she wasn't actually. It was set up. And after years of having no name, she's officially given the Queen of Umbra, which is his kingdom, but she is bound to the new king, King Asher, the most deadliest, vicious king in like the whole entire continent. She's forced to rule in secret. Nobody knows who she actually is. She's been given a new identity. She's very alone. She's trapped. Meanwhile, her long lost love, who thinks she died forever ago, Theodore Kincaid, is the king or the prince of his own kingdom. He gets captured by King Asher. And who is the person that has to take care of him? The missing Queen of Umbra, who is her. They have this weird magnetic pull toward each other, and they can't understand why, or at least one of them can't understand why, but what are they going to do about it, essentially? And when I tell you this book is so freaking good, the shadow mommy powers in this, I just absolutely love. I love the unique spin on fated mates that it did. That did the amnesia trope well, which I'm normally not a fan of. Like, it really did everything right. I just loved this book so freaking much. It is just so underrated. I really hope you like it.
Hi guys, I'm Jess from the channel Honest Fiction, both on Booktube and Bookstagram. I primarily read romantasy, fantasy romance, and occasionally some dark romance. I also recently read this. It is a dark siren romance, and similar to Rainy, I also rated this like 5 stars. It is one of my top reads of the year, and such a good pick. She also picked The Goddess Of, which is another book I'm absolutely obsessed with, but the book I am most interested in is In the Shadows by L.B. August. I honestly have never heard of this book. Apparently it has a shadow mommy, so I am super intrigued, and it was one of Rainy's like top books of the year so far. So all of that sounds epic, and I cannot wait to pick this book up. So the amazing Lisa over at Babe in Library requested a dark Why Choose Romance. Now those are my 2 favorite subgenres of romance, so the pressure is on. Now I immediately thought of Heartless Hunters by Santana Knox. This is one of my favorite super dark Why Choose romances. It is a Hunchback of Notre Dame reimagining, plenty of spice, and definitely checks the dark box. But in case Lisa has already read this, I have Blood of Hercules as a backup. I am obsessed with this book. Not quite as spicy as Heartless Hunters, but this is set in a like Titan-infested world. It has plenty of dark humor and also has a very sassy snake companion. You cannot go wrong with this one.
Y'all, it's your girl Lisa over at Babe in Library. I specifically asked for a Why Choose romance that had dark romance themes, and I don't think that there was a better recommender than having Jess give me the 2 recommendations. Now, I had to chuckle because she offered me Heartless Heathens by Santana Knox, which is a book that I previously owned but have unhauled. And if I knew Jess would be the person I recommended, I could have bet that that would have been one of the recommendations. But one thing that I didn't see coming was The Blood of Hercules. And that is the recommendation that I am truly interested in, specifically because she added in the context of there being a pet familiar that was hilarious. So that definitely sounds like something I need to pick up. So thank you, Jess, for that recommendation. And now I want to recommend something to Affi, better known as Fifi Reads Historical. For the Forbidden Trope, I did make a historical, and for that I would tell you to read An Extraordinary Union by Alyssa Cole. This is set during the Civil War, where we have an interracial couple. So it's already forbidden with that element. They are both spies. You have a freed woman who is going back to liberate others, and then a man who has decided to join the rebels undercover to take them down. So I will tell you, An Extraordinary Union is one you should pick up.
Hey everyone, it's Affi from Fifi Reads Historical Romance. This book was amazing. I really enjoyed this one. I ended up giving it 5 stars. I'd like to say thank you for the recommendation because I really did end up enjoying this book. I'm recommending Crystal at Books Forever After, a second chance dark romance and a second chance romance. And these will both be historical romances because that is what I read. The first book that I have to recommend here is Forever Her Duke by Scarlett Scott. This is a novella, and it is a second chance story about a duke and his bride who are reunited after a year of being separated. They got married under horrible circumstances and he ran away, and now that he's back, it is their story of falling back in love with one another. This one is a great read and I think you'll love it. The second book is The Duke with the Dragon Tattoo by Kerrigan Byrne. This is a dark historical romance. This is a second chance romance. We have a young man who basically woke up somewhere, did not remember who he was, where he was, and was saved by a young woman. and they fall in love. He decides that he's going to go out into the world and make something of himself, and then he disappears pretty much off the face of the earth. And when she sees him again, it's years later, and he comes back, and he comes back with a vengeance. This is a really interesting one, and I definitely think you should check it out.
Hi there, my name is Crystal, and my channel is Books Forever After. The first book, I've only read Scarlet Scott. I think her other second chance romance that everyone compares to as Again the Magic. So I haven't read that one, so I'm really excited to read it, because you all know second chance is like my favorite, so I'm excited to read this one. The Duke with the Dragon Tattoo, I think. Yeah, it's actually on my TBR, so this is awesome too as well. So I'm glad, I'm excited, because I'm almost to that one. I have the Scott Betts' His Wife and then this one to read in that series as part of my continuing series romances. So yeah, Affi knows what I like, so I'm excited to try this one for sure, and the Scarlet Scott one. So thank you so much for the recommendation. I hear the Dragon Tattoo one is like a lot of people's favorite as well, because I think it's like pirate at sea as well, so that sounds really cool. My recommendations I have for Vanessa at Read with Dr. B. So I'll be recommending 2 books for her. One book is, I think both of these actually will be great for the fall season, especially with Halloween around the corner and the fall season vibes, so they both kind of fit. Weird romance and a demon romance. So the one that I actually really enjoyed, it was like a 4-star for me. I think it was actually a couple years ago, but it was called Full Sack by Layla Faye. And it's basically perfect for the Thanksgiving holiday. So I think he's like a leprechaun or something like that. I really can't remember, but they encounter each other somehow. He can grant wishes, but he has to reach a certain level of I don't know how to say this, but you know, the genie in the lamp. And then out comes whatever your wish is. So literally a full sack of like the Santa Claus presents kind of thing, but for Thanksgiving turkey. So and this one, he actually a toaster and a Thanksgiving turkey, and they actually ate the turkey. So yeah, it's weird. Definitely, I think that qualifies, but it was just fun and entertaining, and it still gives me the chuckles every time I think about it. So definitely recommend that one if you haven't read that one. And then for a demon romance, now I don't know if it qualifies, but I read it last October, and I actually am probably going to reread this one again because I didn't get a chance to read the second one. So the first one here is The Coven, and then I think the next one is called The Curse by Harper L. Woods. I think she's like 20 or 21, going to this like college like academy. Her mother passes away, and so the protection charm that has kind of been done for her to be hidden is because she is part of these 5 families or so that is like very legacy, and so there's been some warring between the covens, things like that, for power, and so she's being seeked by the hero, or the MMC. He is the headmaster of this academy, and he is what is called a vessel, and he is, let's just say, the reason why I enjoyed this so much is he is a morally black hero, which is very hard to say truly in a lot of dark romances, that the hero is a true villain. They can live for like eons, but they have to survive on witch's blood. They're not exactly characters that you are going to have a heartwarming feelings for. They are not exactly well loved, but I think you would enjoy it. So if you like really dark romance and you like the paranormal, like the demon romance, you might like this as well, because it kind of teeters because the vampire and demon kind of aspect to it.
My name is Vanessa from the channel Read with Dr. B, and I'm someone who primarily reads a lot of romance. I have not read that one. I thought I might have based on the cover, but it looks like I haven't read it yet. But I'm here for it. It has okay ratings, especially for like a sentient object romance, I'm assuming, or some sort of weird smut. I don't really know if it's like with a turkey or a shifter or what, but I would read this. I did read this, actually. I think I might have enjoyed the second book more because I wrote a little bit more about it, but I read these back in 2023. I think a pretty good recommendation. So thank you, Crystal. I am very much looking forward to reading the first book that you recommended because I'm all here for weird, sentient, just weird romance. Hi Becky! So I am going to be recommending a couple of books to you. Usually the things that I end up really liking, you hate, or vice versa. And it's very rare that we have something that we both really like. At least that's what I feel like. Because I'll see your stories and you're like, this XYZ popular book, which I probably gave 4 or 5 stars, you're like, this shit sucks. So I'm so sorry if this shit sucks. So the 2 recommendations that you asked for, the first one was a humorous horror that isn't T. Kingfisher. So I actually haven't read this book yet, but I'm very curious what you might think about it. And again, don't hate me if this book is shit. So this book is called Pride and Prejudice and Zombies by Seth Grahame-Smith and Jane Austen. I'm assuming it's like he has to give credit to Jane Austen because of Pride and Prejudice, but it sounds like it's set in this quiet English village of Myreton and the dead are returning to life. It sounds like you have Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy who are apparently coming back from the dead, I think. And then Satan is involved somehow. It says that it's complete with romance, heartbreak, sword fights, cannibalism, and thousands of rotting corpses. I think that sounds really fun to me. I hope that you think that sounds fun. Another recommendation that you had was a fantasy romance that is anything but enemies to lovers, which again is so funny because enemies to lovers is my favorite trope when it comes to any sort of romance, but I know friends to lovers is actually your favorite. So hear me out and watch. You're probably gonna read this or have read this and you'll be like, this shit sucks. I'm in love with this book and it might be one of my favorite books of the year. Warrior Princess Assassin by Bridget Kemmerer. So let me give you some of the buzzwords here. All right, we have a princess. Let's start with the princess. What happens when there's a princess who's in love with an assassin and the princess is actually about to marry this warrior king to unite their kingdoms and to just kind of protect their people? Well, one day the assassin over here gets some orders to kill the person that the princess is supposed to marry. At the same time, he gets some orders that he's supposed to kill the princess as well, but he obviously loves the princess. So we do have a love triangle, okay? I have another book that I think that you might find interesting. It's called What Fury Brings by Trisha Levenseller. It contains scenes of graphic sexual content, graphic language, and graphic violence. And then it says, if you're wondering what graphic violence means, let me share that there is a penis guillotine in the novel that is used on RAPISTS. And I feel like that would be very intriguing to you, Becky. It's tagged as enemies to lovers. I don't know how much I believe things like what Goodreads says. I don't know. Just try it. You probably will really like it because there's a lot of like feminine rage, and I feel like that's what you might like in a book.
And I am back to end out this video. Vanessa. You're a gem, Vanessa. You're a gem. Your recommendations. Okay, listen. Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. Okay, I have never read this book. I'm not the hugest fan of classics. I've tried listening to Pride and Prejudice and I find it really, really boring. But maybe with the zombie aspect, it would be a little bit more exciting. So I am willing to give this one a try, at least. Warrior Princess Assassin. It sounded good. It was going good. I was with it. I'm like, okay, this sounds like a good one. And then you said 2 words that I despise with every fiber of my being. And that is love triangle. So I won't be reading this, I'm sorry. And then the Trisha Levenseller book. So I have read a couple books by Trisha Levenseller and I enjoyed them well enough. I've heard of this book, but I've never really given it much thought because like her other books I read, I was just like, those are fine. But you know, graphic sexual language and graphic sex scenes and a penis guillotine, you say? Okay. This is the one I am most excited to read, funnily enough, even if it does have that enemies to lovers dynamic in it. So thank you so much for the recommendations. 2 of the 3 I will give a try. Maybe I'll do a follow-up vlog sometime. This is the end of the booktuber recommendation train. I've called it either or. And I just want to thank everybody who participated in this collaboration. I hope you guys had fun. If you want to read the books that were recommended to you and do like a follow-up vlog, I would love to see that. And I know like the people who recommended you books would also love to see that. So if you do, be sure to tag me and the person who recommended you the books in your vlogs, because I would love to see that. But I didn't want to put that kind of pressure on you guys in case, you know, you didn't love the books that were recommended to you. So do it at your own will. And to everybody watching, I hope maybe you got some good book recommendations based on certain prompts that you might be interested in. Let me know down in the comments if any of these books sounded interesting to you and if you plan on reading them. But if you don't want to comment that but would like to let me know you made it to the end of this train, just leave me a "why don't you leave me a train" emoji if there is one. And until my next video, thank you so much for watching, and go out there and read a book that somebody random recommends to you. Bye!